Hi, it's John from positiveresolution.co.uk and welcome to episode 4 of the Business Growth Weekly. As usual, I'm joined by my good friend Stephen Swift from YorkshireMarketingBusiness.com. Hi Steve, how's your week been?
Oh, it's flown by. It's been one of those really quick weeks, actually, John. But been a good one, you know. Feel a bit fresh, a bit warmer this week, hence the lighter shirt on than the week. How's your week been?
It's not so bad. It's not been so bad. Busy as usual and exciting times at Positive Resolution HQ. But
Excellent.
and I'm ready and raring to go. This week we're talking about vision and mindset, which of course is something that we both deal with every day, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, let's just as a very quick to get people in the mindset, shall we say, a quick recap without going over all ground. Watch last week's episode sort of thing. But we were discussing local, national, and global businesses and what your reach ability was. Sorry, what your reach was, what your abilities were, being the sponge, soaking up the knowledge
Yep.
being key, and progression, development, etc. And we mentioned in that last week about having a clear vision as to what you want to do, because change can not just bring change for yourself, but for people around you, which they might not like, feel comfortable, because nobody likes change. Certainly when it's put upon them because of an action that somebody else has taken. So it can create a bit of a negativity around, and you have to have a clear mindset. And I think that's why I mentioned let's talk about that. So without further ado, let's go into vision and mindset. Did you want to kick this one off, John?
Well, I was going to ask you, Steve, to start with, when you were putting Yorkshire Marketing Business together, for example, what was your vision of the future? Uh, was it specifically to do with the business, or did you have a vision that sort of encompassed other aspects of your life that were affected by that business?
The vision ad for Y&B came about from the previous companies which I'd run, and before I set my own first company up, when I worked with other businesses and companies as an employee. The vision for Y&B came about through that, because I was helping and I was developing people's businesses for the better. And so my vision was, well, if I'm doing this, working for this company, maybe I can do it for a wider variety of businesses if I did it myself. So my vision was, I want to be able to pass on and share my knowledge, what's in here, and what I've physically done myself, to benefit other people, so they can reap the rewards of being successful, or having better results from doing things the right way, and not having all those hurdles and hoops to jump through, hurdles to jump over, burning a lot of time, increasing the burn rate financially of the business, certainly when they're just starting out and money's tight and very valuable, as it should be throughout the life of the business anyway, but very much so that when it's very embryonic. That my vision was to be able to do that and offer that as a service, which in turn would obviously, because of my charges, etc., and the way I operate this business, I'm able to have a good quality of life for my family and those around me.
Now, that's the interesting bit for me, because for me,
Thought it might be.
everything that you just said about offering a great service and bringing value to other people, that to me, I would see that as your means to an end. Okay, that is not
I
the end
agree
in
with that.
itself.
Mm.
The vision is the bit that you said right at the end, which was that you get a better quality of life for yourself and your family. Now, was there anything in that vision specifically about that you were going to do marketing? Or was your vision just about whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to bring value, I'm going to add value to people?
Uh, that's a good question, actually.
It's a
In
fantastic
the
question. That's why I
It
asked.
is, it is. And to be honest with you, I have to answer it honestly, which is both,
Hmm.
is the easiest way to say it.
Yep.
Uh, the primary, I suppose, in the vision, or the objective of the vision, is that I was going to share as much knowledge I had, because so many people in the past, whether it was business contacts, uh, business associates, family, friends, all saying you have so much knowledge that you've picked up over the years. And this goes for anybody. So this could be a light bulb moment for people watching this. If you've had a lot of experience and gained, a lot of knowledge being king, refer it back to last episode, that you can actually make a living and make money out of sharing your knowledge through your experiences and what you've built up in your memory banks as to, well, if I've struggled to do this, maybe there's other people out there that have as well. So then you do your research. Is there other people that's got a demand for this kind of knowledge? If so, great. You flip the model on its head like I told in last episode, which is there's a demand, there's a hungry crowd of people. You've got the solution. It's emotionally driven for them. You position it underneath them or in front of them, and then they will actually engage with you. So there's a bit of attraction marketing going on there from an emotional elicited, response that you get from where their mindset is, which obviously I know you're going to cover shortly.
Yep.
So my vision was to share my knowledge with people, to save them time and frustration, to get them to the finish line, if you like, that bit quicker, without missing any of the key elements that they need to know and understand to be able to develop the business and have that strong foundation we mentioned week 1 and week 2.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot now, and you can say no to this, Steve.
You've done this before in a video when you caught me out once, when you caught me on camera about something else we were doing.
Really?
If you cast your mind back to that one. That was put on the spot, was it? I thought I was just there to talk about a module book that I'd written.
Oh,
next thing. yeah, that video, yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, I feel like I've been...
What's going on?
I've been, brought in under false pretenses, I think was the term I used.
We should post that video on the page so that people could see
that,
because that was quite funny. And,
oh, thanks. Yeah, we can laugh about it now.
Now, what I'm going to
put me on the spot again.
What I'm going to ask you to do, Steve, is I'm going to use you as an example, and you can say no if you like, but I think it's important for people to really get a handle before we go on to mindset and before we look at your vision book, which I know you've got with you. In order to use a vision book, you've got to have something to put in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully use you as an example and show people roughly how to create a vision. Okay. And we're going to use your vision for yourself. So if you've just been telling porkies, we're going to find out. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes for me for a second, Steve.
Go on then.
You know you're on camera with your eyes shut now.
I know, I feel ridiculous.
Don't worry. The one thing I always say to clients is that whatever happens, you will feel ridiculous. So, I mean, I do all that stuff anyway. You can't see what I'm doing when your eyes are closed anyway.
Yeah, but I'll watch the playback. Andy, you have the raw footage. You can be really sneaky here.
So
okay, go on then.
Just close your eyes. Okay. And what I want you to do is just take a deep breath and just relax.
How relaxed do you want me to be?
Well, this is me and you, Steve, over the internet in front of I don't know how many people, so be as relaxed as you can. Obviously, when you're doing this at home, people, you take a bit of quiet space, and all I want you to do is just sort of allow your mind to drift for a second, and just physically point, if you can think of something that happened to you maybe 10 years ago, and form a picture of that in your mind, and physically lift your finger up, and I want you to point to where you see that event happening in your mind.
I think about 10 years now.
Yeah, or anything. It could be longer, but something.
2003, wasn't it?
Yeah, anything like that. Around that time, it doesn't have to be specific, but.
And it's just something that's happened.
Just anything that's happened, just so I can see where you're seeing that in your mind. So just point to it for me in the air, right? So it's over that side. Okay.
2 o'clock.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Now think of something that happened to you when you were about 4. And point to that for me.
Just off left to 12 o'clock.
Really? Okay. And now what I want you to do is point to this present moment. Can you lift your finger up a bit further? We can't see it.
Sorry, okay. I've got my eyes shut. I don't know.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Straight in front of me, John.
That's great. And think of something that is going to happen in 10 years' time? So that's further up. Okay.
Yes. I wasn't sure whereabouts I was the first time, but straight in front of me again.
Straight in front of you and further up.
Straight down the road, yeah.
Okay. Just open your eyes for a second and I'll explain
Yeah.
what we've just done.
Wow, it's bright in here.
It's just got brighter.
Yeah. I'm
Now,
healed.
what we've just done is we've just discovered what your timeline is. And a timeline, whenever you think chronologically, people think it's a model, but it's very useful. And what that shows me is where you focus your attention day to day.
Right, so I'm living in the past then, pretty much, aren't I? Because I was somewhere around about here.
No. What was interesting was you've got a very odd-shaped timeline for a start because you've got part of your past is that side, part of it's that side. Your present was actually under your eye level, so it was probably about there. Okay.
Right.
And your future was about there, but directly in front of you. So actually, it's easier for you to see your future. You are future focused, and your past, whatever your past was, is kind of on your periphery. But it's almost like it's encroaching. Does that make sense? Does that ring true for you?
Yeah, it does. I remember certain things because it just helps me, focus on certain times in my life that lifts me, so I can then focus clearly on the future, I suppose.
Okay. Now, what we've just done is going to make the next part of this exercise very, very easy. And for people who are watching this, the timeline.
Sorry, my phone's just buzzing.
Sorry. For people who are watching this, the first part of the exercise that we've just done, you don't necessarily have to do, but it was important for me to show you that because it's important for me to be able to explain to you where Steve's coming from for the next part of the exercise. When you're doing this for yourself, you don't necessarily need to know that because you know already. So if you just close your eyes again for me, Steve.
Yeah, so
I'll let you
sorting out that.
I'll let you sort your phone out.
Someone's just been ringing me, and I've just sent them a text message letting them know that we're actually filming at the moment, and I will call them back as soon as. Okay, right, off into the yes. Okay.
Right now, what I'd like you to do is just go back, drift back along that timeline that we've just discovered to the moment when you decided you were going to start this business.
Which one?
Was it the Yorkshire marketing business? Was the first one? We'll use that as an example. So
okay.
And when you're there, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm there.
You can see yourself. Point to yourself.
I'm right there, sat at that desk in that office with the sun coming through and the train going past on the train track right at the side of the office that I had.
Okay, that's really good because you can remember some of the sensations.
Absolutely, yeah. It was annoying because when you did video, you had to stop because the train was that loud because it was a coal train.
So
moved offices since then.
So you're at the moment. Are you in the picture? You can see yourself in the picture.
Yes, I can.
What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put yourself in the picture so you can see what you saw at that moment. You can feel what you felt at that moment.
Yes.
Okay. And can you remember the first time you experienced the vision that you had for yourself at that point?
What do you mean?
At the point where you are now, you created a vision for yourself for the future.
Yes.
Which included Yorkshire marketing business. It included a lot of things for your family, included different areas of your life, maybe your health and fitness. But specifically, we're talking about Yorkshire marketing business at the moment. So you put that vision together, yes?
Yes.
And when you were putting that vision together, what did you see? What was that vision? You can you can see it now.
Yes.
Because you are in that vision. So what is the vision as you see it?
The vision that I see it as is I'm stood at the front of a very large room with lots of people that have come to gain knowledge from my experiences in a room. That's part of the vision I can see.
What's the rest?
The rest is actually sat in somebody else's office,
Hmm.
helping them with their business.
Okay.
There's three of us in the room.
Yeah.
There's two people from the business, and there's myself,
Okay.
and we're in deep discussion, and we're all actually smiling because of what the outcome is.
Okay. That's good.
And I also see myself on a beach watching my kids play and my wife enjoying a nice drink at the side of me in a nice hot country.
Okay. Is there anything about your vision that includes maybe your health?
Well, I look pretty healthy, even though I say so myself.
Okay.
I feel good. I don't have any stress.
Okay.
It's just a feeling of excitement and happiness all the time.
Okay. Now, staying in the place that you are at the moment, so don't come out of that vision. What I want you to do is look forward 10 years. So from whatever time from wherever you are right now, look forward 10 years, project that vision forward. What do you see?
I see a bigger room with even more people, but I feel that I'm in a different country,
Okay,
doing the same as what I'd done 10 years ago.
right. So it's the same process,
Yes,
but you're now talking to bigger audiences.
yeah, but my wife is in a different country, in one
Okay.
of our homes.
In one of your homes. Okay.
Yes,
How many homes do you have in this vision?
that I can feel. I've got three. Got one in Australia. We've got one still in the UK. Don't know where the third one is though.
Okay.
This seems really weird, and I bet people watching this are probably going to get freaked out by this. But really, we haven't set this up. I am really seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else in the in the vision that
Yeah, there is actually. There's the car that I've always wanted. That's
okay.
in the vision. So I've achieved that. But I've had it
Do
some
you want to
time by the
do you,
seam of it.
right? Do you want to tell us what the car is?
Oh, it's a nice big red car.
A nice big red car. And you've had it some time, you say. How long have you had
Yeah,
it?
I've had it about 5 years, but it's not the first one I've had. I've had
Right.
one before it, so I've obviously changed it.
Okay.
So things must be going good.
And things have been going pretty well for at least 5 years.
Yeah,
So there's consistency there as well.
yeah. And my kids seem really happy.
Okay. How old are your kids now?
Well, they're both teenagers,
Yeah.
going into the 20s, one of them.
Right. Fantastic. Okay. Just open your eyes for me, Steve. Come back. We'll come back into the room. Take a second just to reacclimatise.
Mm.
Now, what I want people to recognise here, and this is why I sprang this on Steve, was when
You did.
when we started this session off, this episode, the first question I asked Steve was what was his vision? And he gave me and you 5 or 6 minutes about how he wanted to help other businesses and how he wanted to bring value to other businesses and everything else. Now, that is part of what Steve does for a living. It's part of his overall vision, but it wasn't his actual motivation. His motivation is the end result, okay? Which is why when he said initially about, well, better quality of life for my family and my kids, I said that is what it is. That's where it is. It's not in the process, it's in the end result. And it's important that you people understand this because that's what's going to keep you going. The motivation that Steve has is based on that initial vision. So what we did was we found out how he views his past and his future. We worked out that he was very future focused and that he can see his vision very clearly, although he might not recognize it because he's so acclimatized to seeing it. But his vision is right in front of him all of the time, which means that he's very focused on aiming for that vision. And I know from talking to Steve that actually his vision, which includes sitting in offices, making deals, and everybody's smiling, standing in front of rooms talking to people, that is what he does for a living. That is exactly the process that he follows, and he's been following it for quite a while. Now, even if I didn't know that, I could have told you that because of what we've just gone through there. The next stage of this, which Steve doesn't have to do, because just hold your vision book up for me a second there, Steve.
Yeah, sure.
Steve has a vision book,
Very
and
nice.
in
Until
in Steve's vision book,
it looked really weird, didn't it? Smells gorgeous, though, I must say.
I'm saying nothing.
I look after that with a sense of reverence as that as well. So.
Absolutely. Now, in that book is Steve's vision. There's a lot more in it. It's a very thick book. But the basis of what's in that book is what Steve has just said to us now. Whether in hindsight, I bet if you went back there, everything you've just said to me
I'm not going to show
is in
people
the
in my
book.
book
No, no,
because
no,
it is
no, no,
obviously very private
don't,
to me. But
no, don't open it. But the point being that everything that you've just said to me will be in that book somewhere.
actually, what I will do, and I'm happy to just share this one page because
Okay.
obviously there's lots of private things in here.
Yeah.
But actually, there's one of the page, and this is, I mean, I wrote this. My journey starts August 2008. That's
Yep.
when I wrote this. But this is one of the pages. This is how terrible I am at drawing. I don't know if people can see this.
Fantastic.
And that's been in for quite some time.
Mm.
So just if you don't know, it's Princess Trust, which I've obviously achieved.
Yep.
Flying on a plane to a nice place, going to see Table Mountain, and the wife and kids all playing, having fun.
Which is what you just came out with that, actually.
How freaky is that? And it's in my vision book. It's been in there for 5 years more now.
Absolutely. And yet, when I asked you what your vision was, we got a completely different answer to start with. Now, that's an important lesson, because your mind, especially if you're not, if you've done this a while ago, what happens is your mind kind of builds things onto it and works things around, and you can move away from your vision without realizing it because you convince yourself that your vision is something else. And what we've done is we've stripped away all of that marketing, basically, which because you're marketing yourself to yourself, we've stripped all that away and said, actually, no, this is what's important. And once you've got that, then's the time to write it down. And that's the next part of this exercise for people to do. And that's why I said Steve doesn't need to do it, but I wanted you to see that he had done it in the past. Write it down. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first thing is when you write it down, psychologically you make a commitment to it. It becomes more real for you. And the second reason is because you can revisit it. Because the next thing I want to talk about when we go into mindset are the 3 things that are really going to propel you and propel your business. And part of that is based on this exercise. So that was kind of a quick exercise, but I think worthwhile. And I don't know, Steve, how did you find it? Was it worth doing for you to?
It was a bit weird thinking I was doing this being filmed, and I don't know who's going to see that. I've kind of like opened myself up a little bit, I guess, in some respects. But if it gives benefit to other people, then it's been a very, very worthwhile exercise. I personally feel very happy about what came out of it, purely because what's in my vision book, and I know what's happened since I started Y&B, and I know what we've already planned for next year. So it's quite exciting that I now need to add, which is an important point, I now need to add more things to my vision book because some of the things have actually been ticked off the list. And I need to add some more because remember in episode 2 I was speaking about Ron that was getting the book deal.
Yes.
And he went and he got the offer and then he blew the deal because he didn't actually accept it.
Yeah.
I don't want my vision book. This is why it's so thick, because it will be ongoing.
Absolutely.
Just as a side note, for people that haven't got a vision book yet, and it's something I learned from my mentor, I'll be honest, I am not taking credit for the vision book thing at all. It's something that I learned from my mentor. Is get a book that's a bit special. Don't just get a notepad from W.H. Smith's. I'm not dissing W.H. Smith's notepads, but you need something that's kind of special, something that you'll look after, and it means something to you, and it's an important part of your life to a degree. So I've got one that's got a nice little fancy latch thing on here. It's got some like lattice work on here, and the paper actually not normal paper. It's like a material sort of. It's a bit hard to explain. It's almost like if you use like a fountain pen on it, but like blotting paper. So you tend to use biro or something like that, or a ballpoint. And it's got like a bit of a material feel to it rather than a paper feel. So it is very special. But even that said, it was like 20 quid off eBay.
Yeah.
Just type. I forgot what I put in now. I'll put it in the thread in the Facebook. I'll look on
Yeah.
eBay. I'll find a couple of sellers. It'd be nothing to do with me. I won't be affiliated with them. I'm not going to make any money out of it. It'll just be a general search.
Yeah.
I don't know if I put vision books in or special books, or I don't know. I'll have a look for people that's watching this, and I'll just put a couple links in. Here's the kind of thing. Go and find your own sort of thing, but at least give them somewhere to look at. But I will promise, hand on heart, it'll not be one of mine that I'm selling on there because I don't have any vision books, barring the one I own. Just so everybody's clear, it's not a money making scheme. It's just to help you out. Okay, so but I'll
Yeah.
pledge my promise to you that I'll put that in the thread, and I'll do it in the next, well, I might even do it before this video comes out. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends how quick we get it up onto iTunes and YouTube. But I will do that for you.
Fantastic. So once you've written your vision down and being as detailed as absolutely possible, there are a couple of things that you need to do. The first is you need to revisit it a lot.
Every day.
Every day.
Morning and night.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you need to really plug yourself into that vision so that you take ownership of it and it becomes more of a desire. Because when you first put it together, there's going to be things on there that you say, oh, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. All of those constraints, when you come up with your vision, all of those constraints go out the window, or they should do. If you find yourself doing the exercise and saying, oh, well, I can't do that, I'll have to adjust that down, don't do it. Because constraints go out of the window, and experience and success is cumulative. And the more success you have, the more success you gain, and you'll end up, I guarantee that if you stick with the process, you end up superseding your initial vision and your initial goals anyway. As Steve just said, he's got to rewrite a lot of stuff in his vision book because it's already happened. And he's now moving on to the next stage. So he's going to go through that exercise again of saying, where am I going to be in 10 years? Where am I going to be in 5 years? And coming up with that is the basis of the plan. Because if you do the vision and you've already got an idea of the business you want to run, and your vision turns out to be something completely different, you're never going to be motivated. You're never going to have the right mindset to complete that business or that project. And once you've got that in place, then you can start working on your mindset.
Absolutely agree. I mean, it is. This vision book, it's not just about writing things down. I've also got some pictures in here, not ones that I've very crudely drawn, as I've just shown everybody, but also I've got pictures in there of various things that's in my vision and on my list of things that I want to achieve with my vision. And I just go to Google Images and just type in what it is that I'm looking for, and I look for the most appropriate picture that I think fits my vision, and I print it out, I cut it out, and I get some sellotape, and it goes in my vision book, and it goes in there. And a lot of the things in here that I've already achieved, a lot of it is very private. Obviously, it's something for me. But there are certain things in there that are of a monetary value. And I've now had to rewrite that part of the vision book because I've achieved that. When it went in there, I thought, I've got cat and hell's chance of having that in my life. Yet because it went in there and I focused on it day and night, and I didn't deviate from the road that I had chosen to go down, I had a clear vision, and I was going to continue down that. I was going to grab the research, get the knowledge. I surrounded myself with people, like-minded, successful people, because success generates more success. Positivity generates positivity. So I did have to change some of the circle of friends which I hung around in, because some of them were very much, this is where we are in life, this is us in the food chain, and we're not meant to be, any better than what we are. It's like you said in the last episode about, being above your station sort of thing. And there was a great example given to me based on that, which was if you took a jar and put some grasshoppers in, they'd jump and put some food outside, they'd jump up and down, but they'd keep hitting the head on top of the lid.
Mm.
And after so long, they realised that they couldn't get out, so they stopped jumping. And they took the lid off the jar, still left the food at the side, so all they had to do was jump up and they could get the food.
Yeah.
But because they've been conditioned in their mindset and they've been mentally programmed to go, this is where you are in life, you're not allowed to go above the line, that they just didn't bother trying to jump out the jar. And it's the same with people. If you condition yourself like that, and I'm sure, I mean, John is far better qualified than me to go into this in more detail, which is probably a paid session, to be fair to John, because his knowledge is we can only give so much away here. We're trying to give as much as possible, but that's definitely a paid service, as I would see anyway for John. Is that you need to have that clear mindset and know that wherever the ceiling is, there's nothing stopping you going straight through it and going, no, actually, my ceiling's higher up. When I reach that or get close to it, I'm going to move the ceiling higher again. And that's exactly what I do with the vision book.
There's a great. It's not a story that I came up with. I don't know who came up with it actually, but it's about frogs. And there's a rock, and the frog wants to get over the rock, and he jumps and jumps and he can't do it, and eventually he dies trying to get over the rock. And the next frog comes along, jumps and jumps, can't do it, dies. And then the third frog comes along and says, it can't be done. These other two have died doing it, so it can't be done. And over the years, hundreds of frogs turn up and go, we should be jumping over that rock. I'm going to try. And all the other frogs go, it can't be done. You shouldn't. You don't even try. You can't do it. It's not for you to do. Until one day a frog comes along and says, I'm going to jump over there. And they all say, you can't do it. It's impossible. It's not for you to do. And the frog jumps and jumps and jumps and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and eventually reaches the top of the rock and jumps over and finds a pond and lives happily ever after. What was the difference between that frog and everybody else? All the other frogs.
It's got to be the fact that the desire was strong enough. The commitment was strong enough. No. He was saying, I don't care what everybody else says. No. I'm going to have a go at myself.
He was deaf.
What?
The frog was deaf.
Is that it?
That's the truth, yeah. The frog was deaf. He couldn't hear them say, it's impossible, it can't be done.
There's a lesson.
And he just
not saying that you have to be deaf, but don't listen to what other people tell you. It can't be done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
a good way of putting it, is that, John? People must know now we do not stage these things.
Absolutely not. But it goes back to what we were saying last week, which was you have to be able to have the level of focus to block out those people. People will talk about you anyway. You have to be able to say, I'm doing it anyway. And
it's slipped up there. We shouldn't have really given the answer away there. We could have had that as
that could have been the homework.
Yeah. Leave your comments. Why did the frog manage to achieve to jump over the rock? So, there we go. Could always maybe mute that part of the soundtrack out or something and put one of them blur things over your mouth. So when you say it, Sarah, you might have noticed through the recording that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So, which brings us, I think, neatly onto mindset. And mindset is something that most of my work is around with small business owners, because it's my belief that, particularly for new businesses, your mindset, if you're setting up a business, is what makes it live or die. You could have the best product, the best process, the best marketing, the best advertising in the world. If you're not going to follow through with it, it's not going to happen. So for me, I do a lot of work with this, and I came up with a sort of a success formula, which I've been teaching clients for a long time, which works very, very well. And if you play your cards right, I might reveal it to you today. But before we do that, Steve, what's your view on mine? What when you approach business, when you approach what you need to get done, what is your mindset day to day?
Well, day to day, it obviously changes depending on what bookings I have, what meetings I've got, basically what's on my agenda for that particular day. But just as a general, uh, once I've checked emails on the morning and know what I'm up to, it's a case of the challenge of the day is to learn something new, and absorb that and implement it that's relevant to my business and share it with the people. And the final section of my mindset, if you like, would be how am I best going to serve the people which I'm going to come into contact today.
Hmm.
So I've got to get my mindset has got to be, it's got to be a challenge I set myself, but with the positivity and confidence to be able to deliver. And I can only do the positivity and confidence because of all the years of experience, knowledge being king that I've developed, created, and grown over the experiences that I've had. Personally, the problems that I've had with previous businesses,
Hmm.
and how I've learnt from those, because obviously failings, things going wrong, if bumps in the road occur, instead of just going, oh well, that's it, that's ruined that. It's a case of reacting to it and taking it on board and going, right, why did that happen, and learning from your mistakes, so that when they come up again in somebody else's business, I'm like, whoa, just before you're going to get a bump in the road coming up here, and
Yeah.
this is what it's going to be. This is going to be the potential consequence for it. Let's implement a change before that occurs. So it's spotting those things before they happen, and it's reacting to them. It's proactive and all the rest of it, sort of thing.
So before you had that experience,
Hmm.
how did you keep that positive mindset and that confidence at that point? How did you work through the fact that you weren't necessarily as confident as you are now and as successful as you are now to get to this point? Because I think that that's the important bit. Once you're
Yeah.
successful, that confidence, like I was saying earlier on, that's cumulative, that continues
Mm.
to build, and you get that kind of experience. But for people who are just starting out, when you were just starting out and you didn't necessarily have the knowledge that you have now, or you were still learning it, or
Mm.
that first time you picked up a phone and said, "My name's Stephen Swift from Yorkshire Marketing Business," and you were sat on the end of the phone thinking to yourself, are they even going to answer the phone?
Yeah.
What was the mindset that got you to pick up the phone in the first place?
Well, there's two things actually. And if you're easily offended, I would block your ears now. But the first one is I'm a real stubborn son of a bitch. Uh, I won't give up on something. That's just how I've been brought up, I guess. But the other part of it, where I got to where I was the fact that I always have had the ambition and always had the desire to be successful in my own right. Whatever I've done, I've always wanted to do to the absolute maximum, the best that I could possibly, deliver. Uh, and because of those two elements, and my own personal profile, if you like, who I am and what I've done over the years, get to the point where I started YMB, it's just given me grit in my gut, and I've had lots of knockbacks in life. When I was employed, I was employed in management for like 3 or 4 different companies, and I always turned the failing businesses around to a positive. And when that happened, then it was like, we want shut of you now, because we don't want a doer. We want a monkey. We want a yes man, yes sir, no sir person in the organisation. They wanted somebody to solve the problem. Once that was done, we need to get rid of this person now because they're going to be taking over my job and my job and my job as you move the ladder. So
Sorry.
for me, it was like I've, I've know I've reached success now. I've got the right result, and once that's achieved, then the progression has been ripped away from me. And it was like, who are you to tell me that I can't carry on? And it's back to your frog on the rock thing, I suppose. And I've just been la 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 la, but I've been watching and listening and going around. But when people have been trying to push me back down into the jar and put the lid on, that it's like, no, 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 I'm taking the lid off and I'm up there. You know, you can forget it. You know, I'm going to keep
Yeah,
going. So it's the desire, I think, the ambition, the desire, and the fact that I'm a stubborn son of a bitch.
right.
You know, that's why, I suppose. But I have to have that drive. If you haven't got that emotional desire to always push forward, and you know, people, you know, watching this, there'll be probably 99.9% of people won't have a clue who I am and what I've been through. But I have gone from coming up with an idea, putting it in place, and developing it to being phenomenal and achieving some of the things in my vision book.
Yeah,
But then I've also felt what it's like for it all to fall apart and go wrong and feel like shit.
mm,
And that's the point when you're right there thinking, right, now have you got the amount of strength needed in here and in here to be able to pick yourself up and go, that was a bit of
yeah,
bad luck, wasn't it? You know, why did that happen? What went wrong there? And getting on with it. YMB was formed. That's what went on with it. You know,
yeah,
I've held training workshops with people pay money to come and learn from me, and I've shared my knowledge with them and worked with them. So it's not a case of, you know, you sit, I speak, you listen sort of thing. It's a case of how can we help with the business? Oh, well, this is what my business is. Okay, well, let's incorporate that in the training, you know. So it's very
yeah,
much bespoke. I could have gone down another road then, you know, that's where I came to, I suppose, in a junction where it's like, right, I've tried it, stuff it. And this is where a lot of people do go, I've given it a go, I had the desire, I had the vision, you know, and one thing and another. But because they've taken one of those,
yeah,
the mindset hasn't been quite right and aligned with the vision, they've gone, I'm going to go and find a job now. They're going to return back to where they were when they said, I want to get out of the rat race. I want to get rid of the old metropolis thing, you know, the 9 to 5, working for somebody, watching the clock, trading hours for money sort of thing, and sometimes not as much money as the, you know, your skill set that the business that you work for gains from you. So they're working better off sort of thing.
yeah,
That it's like, no, I'm not going back down there. Yeah, all right, I've taken a knock, but I've had knocks before and I've bounced back from it. This is no different. It's just another knock.
yeah.
So let's crack on and let's get on with it. No one can ever remove from you what's in there. And if this is as strong as the knowledge you've got in there, you'll go a long way. And you know, I mean, I know that's quite deep,
No, that's
but you know, I think if there's people watching this going, I really, really am struggling, but I want it so much.
mm,
Believe in your knowledge, have the strength in here to keep going forward. Be the deaf frog now and again. It won't hurt you. Keep your
absolutely.
eyes open. You don't want to walk into anything.
uh, Napoleon Hill
Hopefully that won't be too
calls
deep
it.
for people anyway.
No,
So
that's exactly why we're doing this session. It's brilliant. You've just described what Napoleon Hill calls a burning desire.
yes, and it's a
Uh,
great book. Think and Grow Rich. Go and
Think and
grab
Grow
it. Go and
Rich.
read it.
It's the only book that self-help book that anybody ever needs.
And it's now in
Absolutely,
audio as well.
it is indeed. It's quite a good audio too. Um, it's the only one that anybody ever needs, and I can tell you that because as part of what I do for a living, I've had to read thousands of these books, and it's reading those books was what enabled me to come up with the model of success that I'm about to talk to you about. But in the meantime, it might be an idea for us, Steve, in a future session to come up with, maybe we both pick our top 5 resources for small business owners and talk about, you know, the resources that have helped us, maybe books or audios or, you know,
Yeah,
people for
yeah.
them to investigate.
I'm just making notes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you a bit of background, like I say, I ended up reading hundreds, if not thousands, of these self-help books, and what I realized was that there was a number of things that with most of these books didn't sit right with me. The first was there was a lot of books that just, as I think I said earlier on, rehashed exactly the same information,
Yeah.
and it was not necessarily good information. There was a lot of books that contradicted each other. So one book will tell you to do one thing, the next book will say, don't do that, that's a load of rubbish, do this instead. And there are books out there that contradict themselves in different chapters. none of which helps anybody. There's also a lot of books which, and I think I alluded to this in the last week's episode where I was talking about there are certain people who present information products who they'll start off and say, we're going to help you solve your issue, or we're going to offer you a solution to a problem. And you get to the end of the product and they say, but that's only stage one. You've got to move on to stage two. Now, there's nothing wrong with that approach, but some people are not quite as open as I think they should be about that. And even worse, there are books out there now, very popular books, that will start off and say, you are broken, which I have an issue with anyway, but you are broken, we're going to fix you, and they'll take you through a process which you buy into, and because these books are skillfully written, they work to a certain extent, and you get to the end and they say, but now you're back at the beginning. You're still, and then the kicker, if you're not where we said you would be at the beginning, it's your fault. Now, I think there's something particularly insidious about, and I could talk about this for a long time, but I felt and still feel that there's something very insidious about that approach to basically exploiting people who are looking for a solution to something. And I started saying, well, there's so many of these books that there must be at least a common thread of something that works. So I started looking for it, and what I found was there's basically 3 common threads that work, and I developed this model called the Trinity Success Model. And it's called that because there's 3 things you need to know. And this is my approach to mindset, and this is I carry this forward into every area of my life. The first part is focus. You have to have focus. Second part, self-discipline. And part 3 is energy. Okay? And if you can imagine, I'll put something on the web. I should have had a piece of paper really with it written on, but I'll put a diagram of this on the Facebook page because there's lines connecting and they're interconnected. But the interesting thing that I found out was that each aspect of the model, self-discipline, focus, and energy, they breed each other. They interbreed, which means that if you want to achieve something, so the example I use is, say you're at school and you've got an exam to do, so you need to revise. Now, you can pass that exam by having the discipline to sit down and look at a book and read the book. You might not be focused, but if you sit down, you're going to absorb something. If you make sure that you follow a pattern of behavior, you will achieve a result in that exam. But here's the interesting thing. Because your mind is programmable, if you say to yourself, I need to achieve X, say, right, how am I going to do that? Well, at 6 o'clock every evening, I'm going to sit down for an hour and I'm going to revise. You'll sit down for the first day, say you start on the Monday. You'll sit down, and on the Monday for the hour, you might not take anything in. Tuesday, you might end up being able to take in about 10 minutes worth. By the end of that first week, your mind has gone, actually, 6 o'clock every day, he's doing this, he's not going to give up. So we'll give him the focus to do it. And what you'll find is that if you persevere with it, if you're disciplined enough, the focus will come. And once you get the combination of the self-discipline and the focus, your success levels go through the roof. Now, by the same token, if you've got focus but no discipline, you'll get results. But what you'll find is if you're really focused, and focus comes from having that desire, the self-discipline to fulfill a task will arrive. And those 2 things combined give you the energy to move forward and the momentum. The interesting thing on that score is people always say, I get a lot of clients who come and say, I just don't have the energy, and it's because we live in a very sort of instant gratification world now. You know, people want the result before they do the work. I always say to people, how did you feel the first time you went to the gym? When you first walked in the gym, how did you feel? Well, not great actually. Nervous. How did you feel halfway through your workout? Knackered, didn't know why I was there, hated every second of it. How did you feel 2 hours after you left the gym? Fantastic, on top of the world, never had so much energy. You've got to do the work before you get the reward. In every single thing in life, you have to pay the price first. And that is a key learning, I think, as far as something that I learned over the years is you really do. You get back what you put in only once you've put in. So those things combined, self-discipline, focus, and energy, once you get those three things and you apply them to your vision, the goals that you set up, the business plan that we asked you to look at last week, once you've got those things in place and you apply that formula, you see your success levels go through the roof, and you see opportunities that weren't there before. You see the fact that if people are being negative towards what you're trying to do or trying to put a barrier in your way, you recognize it for what it is just automatically and you move through it. So that's kind of my take on mindset, and it's something that I use with basically all of my clients, and it works very, very well. Is that something? What's your view on that, Steve?
Well, I think you've covered part in what you've said there. You've touched on a couple of points which I can very much relate to. The latter part of that was that seeing the new opportunities, and you can't always see them when you're in the early stages of business because you're too busy setting everything up, checking it's working, looking for the next bit of work, trying to land that next client, taking the next booking, etc., etc. And you don't always spot the opportunities. But if you focus on getting the thing, i.e. the business, right first and make sure it's working, then you can start to look for the new opportunities, which, you know, when you're saying that you've got to have that self-discipline. If you want to look for new opportunities, you can't look for new opportunities till you know you've got the first opportunities in the bag, and your clients are happy, you've got the feedback, you've got the testimonials, you've got the referrals as well, so you can tap into their contacts, which is a big missed opportunity by a lot of people. I know there's an event that you and I, John, are putting together, and literally I went through yesterday and I found another 8 names and email addresses from something that I did about 3 months ago. I know those people. They've met me face to face at meetings, and I can confidently and comfortably send them an email saying, "Hey guys, I'm doing this. I know you know what I do, but what about your contacts?"
Yeah.
And because of the level of rapport I already have with them and that love-like trust, know-like trust, that they're more likely to be very receptive to that and not just go junk mail. They're more likely to go, "Yeah, I remember Steve, good guy. He helped me out with X, Y, and Z. I'm going to pass that on actually, and I'm going to share that with some of my contacts, saying, look, this guy you really need to go and see. And the 2 people that's going to be at this event are really worth going to see." So I can do that. Now that's spotting the opportunities. You need to get the first bits done first, though, obviously, and get your business model right, get the foundation stones, get your vision, get your mindset, know what your why is before all that, and get it all in place, and get your first clients. Having that strong desire to pick up the phone, "Hi, it's Steve from Yorkshire Marketing Business. I'm just ringing because."
Yeah.
Once you've got over that, you've got the first couple in the bag. Then you can spot the new opportunities, which is going back to them. Once you've done that, are you happy with the service? Could we have a testimonial from you or some feedback? By the way, you were obviously very happy with it. You paid the bill. You kept in touch with us. You've asked us to do some more work. How would you feel about sharing our details with your contacts, i.e. the referral side of things, which is a really powerful way to grow your business?
It is, and also it's
That's an
something
opportunity.
something that we might want to focus on in another session is the difference between building a real solid network of people who will work with you in that way, and just attending a networking event and having your face seen.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of time, one of the things that's interesting to me is there's a lot of people out there who swear by networking events, who, for whatever reason, it's not working for them, or they've misunderstood the purpose of those events, and conversely, the purpose of networking.
Mm. Well, I mean, there's two types of networking really. There's one that, I mean, they're both the same structure. A lot of business folk in the room. Now there's structured networking, and there's just a general gathering of businesses where they pass business cards. For me, sorry, go on, John.
So I was going to say, possibly, I think there's a whole session there. So I think maybe
Yeah.
maybe
We'll touch on that in another session then, sir. But I have a clear opinion over the results that I've had as to which one works and why. So we can maybe explain that. I've written it down as a topic anyway.
Absolutely. I'm just conscious of the time because we've come to that point where I think we need to set some homework and.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed a lot again. Hopefully, people have got some benefit and value out of that, and opinions as always. Facebook.com/Business Growth Weekly.
Yep.
And drop us your comments below this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, and give us a thumbs up on YouTube as well. It all helps other people to be able to find it. Don't be afraid to click the share button. We always like when people share what we've got. Don't keep it to yourself. Spread the word and communicate with us. This is a two-way thing. John said in episode 1. This is going to be. Why are we doing this? It's very much a two-way thing.
Yeah.
It's not just about John and I sat in front of the webcams and having a topical discussion.
That's right.
But it's also about sharing. Knowledge is king, so let's share. And your situation and what's happened with you in business. With regards to the homework, though, John, I think we've got two things to do here, which is one, we've got to have some sort of a bit of homework based on vision, and another on mindset.
Yeah.
I think the easiest one for the vision is I'll get the links as promised. To give some examples of where you can buy one of these on eBay. You don't have to spend as much money as what I did. There's some that you can pick up for about 12 quid. You can spend some like 80 quid on them. It's up to you. It's whatever you think. But get one that really, really you like the look of. You think, I can hold that and think, this is a really important book to me. This is very, very valuable. What's in here is life-changing to me and those around me. So that's the kind of mindset, just to skip into John's element of things, the mindset as to what it is. So I'll drop you some links on eBay. Again, just to reiterate as what I said earlier, it won't be a product I'm selling. I'll not be affiliated with it. I will literally just drop some links, say, these are the sort of things, use the search term as an idea, go and find your own on eBay. I do not sell on eBay. So for business. Privately, yeah, we sell stuff around the house, when we're back at home, so let's clear out the garage or whatever. Yeah, fine. But in business, I don't sell anything on eBay because it's not my demographic. It's not where I actually make any money. I might source some things on eBay, but that's again another topic. So I think for the homework for the vision is get yourself a vision book and get some things put in that vision book.
Absolutely.
Do the exercise that John said, the 5 and the 10 year plan, and get in there where you see yourself in your vision in 5 years. What you see yourself achieving, it might be 50 grand in the bank, it might be, £500,000 in the bank, it might be ditching the 200,000 mile Ford Fiesta that I mentioned before, and getting yourself a nice BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi, or might be even more, it might be a Bentley or something, whatever it's to you that might right now seem out of reach, but if you've got a clear vision and you stick at it and have a good mindset, then there's nothing stopping you. There's only one thing stopping you achieving what goes in here. Guess what that is?
The frog.
The frog that couldn't. Yeah, the frog that couldn't hear. If you're a listening frog, you're more likely to fail.
Absolutely. Focus, discipline, energy.
So that's the homework from me for the vision. Grab yourself a vision book. I'll drop you the links, and then put some stuff in it. Google images, put some pictures in there, do some writing, do some drawings of your own. That's the vision book homework. John, what about the mindset?
I think for the mindset, homework. What I want you to do is, again, I want you to just consider what we've talked about with the focus, the discipline, and I'm really hammering this home, and the energy. And I want you to think about how you can apply that to what you want to do with your business. And you do that by saying, okay, I'm going to give some time to producing a plan that's going to get me to my vision. And you do that by looking at your vision and saying, okay, so like Steve said, I want maybe to get one of these cars. Okay, well, make that a plan. How am I going to do that? Work backwards, 10 years into the future to now. Start thinking about that. Go through the exercises that we've gone through today. And I think what you're going to find is, as you go through those, you're going to hit certain things that maybe aren't working for you, or you might need some more support with those. Get yourself onto the Facebook page, as Steve said, facebook.com/Business Growth Weekly. Give us your experience with it. Ask us if you need any more help, and we're going to see you next week. So without further ado, thanks again for listening. Thank you again, Steve.
No problem, John. Just as a quick side note there, just as we've said before, I think it was episode 2, we maybe said this, like the page and then you can send us a private message, because not everybody wants to, air the laundry in public sort of thing. They might not want other people to see what they consider to be a weakness. So private message, like the page, then you can private message, and we will keep it confidential. We'll not air it. We'll not say, oh, such and such sent us this question about their business, and this is what we think about it, because that would be inappropriate, and it's just something we would not do. So don't be afraid to say, actually, I'm struggling with this in my business. Can you give me some pointers? We'll maybe turn it into a topic. It'll be an anonymous. It's almost like a radio station, not an anonymous discussion or whatever it is. But yeah. So if you like the page, then you can private message us, and it will be between us and you personally, and no further. But if we think that it's a valid point of topic of discussion, we'll come back to you and say, can we actually put it as a topic of discussion? Did you want to be involved with it, or do you not want to be involved with it? And we'll keep it completely anonymous. It's just, we will just highlight it as, here's a topic that's come about because of some messages, and we'll leave it at that. So sorry, I just wanted to get that across, so people don't feel that we're alienating them, and that they can't communicate with us and with everybody else that's now liking the page. And the numbers are steadily growing, and that's what we like to see.
Absolutely. Brilliant. No problem at all. So thanks for listening, and thank you, Steve.
No problem. See you next week, guys.